Hi, welcome to the Lisa Saunders Show. Today I'm here with Dr. Joanne Moore, editor of Pathfinder Magazine, and together we are going to interview Ann Nyberg of News 8.
Two of you guys.
Yes, we're both very curious on two totally different levels, but you've come out with a memoir. So now everybody's going to find out what it's like to be Ann Nyberg.
Oh boy, here we go. Strap yourself in, right?
And you've been on News 8 as an anchor reporter for how many years?
Almost 29.
And that makes you the longest.
Do the math. The longest serving anchor reporter in station history. I've been very blessed to get lots of contracts. People have allowed me to stay there. I've raised 3 daughters in the state of Connecticut. My husband is at Yale. He's working on a cancer vaccine. Keep your fingers crossed. I've been very blessed. And, you know, I say over and over again, Connecticut is an awesome state. People have got to stop being negative about the state of Connecticut. If you get in your car and drive around and look at the 4 corners of our tiny state, it's pretty beautiful. So I'm blessed. I've been there a long time, know lots of stuff.
Well, what I think is funny is that when I met you at Bank Square Books, you were talking about your book, Slices of Life. I asked you, what's it like to be an anchor? Because you're standing. How long do you have to stand when you deliver the news? You're not sitting. I almost thought of having a stand just for fun, but I thought, no, I don't want to stand for half an hour. How long do you stand when you're delivering this news?
Well, for years, since 1979, we have sat behind, a desk and delivered the news. Sets now across the country are fancier, let's use that word, and they're big, they're very big. And so to give it a new look, lots of anchors and reporters are standing. I've gotten more comments about, why don't they let you sit down? Well, we're moving around, we're over in this corner of the studio or this corner of the studio. So they feel like, well, we're more nimble, so we should be standing. But when you're standing in heels for an hour and a half, it's interesting. So the guys don't have heels on. I wore flats today.
Well, I know. See, and that's another thing. In your book, I loved your tips on life. And I particularly like the one, always wear black tights, black skirt, and flats. Now, I can't wear flats because it hurts my feet. But in honor of you, I'm wearing a black skirt and black tights. And I thought, yeah, but you give this advice, but you're standing there in high heels.
Yeah, I am. Silly me. But because the set is built for pretty tall people, unless you're pretty tall, they have to bring out these little boxes that you stand on so that you're as tall as the guy standing next to you.
Okay, so you have to think about
it's
all
all
those
smoke
things.
and mirrors, Lisa.
But plus, you actually do have really nice legs. They look really nice in your high heels.
The reason that I write about in Slices of Life about wearing a black skirt and or black tights or flats is because I sort of modeled that after Parisian women. They have really good shoes, they'll wear a skirt, maybe black tights, maybe not, and they do a scarf. A scarf is a necklace, so my message is you don't have to spend a lot of money on clothes. Nobody remembers that you had a black skirt on every day. And I bet if you did this as an exercise, people are just looking up here, they're looking at your face, they're looking at your top. They wouldn't even know you wore the same skirt all year long.
Right.
I mean, they just wouldn't. Somebody did this as an exercise. I think it was a television anchor who wore the same suit for a year. Nobody noticed.
Right. Now, you didn't wear a scarf, and I always want to get into
I did have a
scarves,
necklace
too,
on, but I didn't want it to
to make that noise.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Joanne Moore, she read your memoir as well, and both of us, she's the editor of Pathfinder Magazine. I'm one of the writers, and we love telling people stories, and we firmly believe that people should be telling their own stories, especially as they get older. Mm-hmm. How did you find that?
And that's why I loved your memoir. When I was first widowed, I started talking to other widows.
How old were you when that happened?
57.
Very young.
And I wanted to hear their stories so I could learn from them. People don't talk about that publicly. People sit in the back.
I wonder why.
It's still a taboo subject, I think. And so after I started hearing their stories, I wanted to share them. So we started the Pathfinder Magazine. But still, your story was perfect. Really, you started in your childhood with the military background. And we live in a military community here. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering what values your family developed from their military experience. that maybe the families here could recognize these learning opportunities that they have now to raise a daughter who made it in a man's world, frankly. Journalism was a man's world when you got
One
into
day
it.
at a time, just one day at a time.
Right.
Well, my dad was a pilot in the Air Force in the mid-1950s. So I was born in 1957, so do the math. Yes, I'm 58 and proud to be that. Dad was a pilot, then he became a dentist. So he was in about 4 years or so. That's when everybody went into the military. I mean, you had to go into the military. This was post-World War II. So they moved around a lot, but just in that 4 years. So I was born in San Angelo, Texas, on Goodfellow Air Force Base. My sister was born in Abilene, Texas. Then they spent some time in Florida and some other places. I think military families learn to get their feet on the ground at the base, whatever it is, set up shop really fast because they know they're going to move, and they make the house or the barracks, whatever it is, a home immediately. I think a lot of us could learn from how fast military families make their four corners a home. It's really miraculous. And that's what Mom did. That's what so many women did across the country. And this was also an era where you rolled up your shirt sleeves, you got busy, you did the work, you didn't think of it. They weren't watching Kim Kardashian, on television. They were doing work, and that's what military families, I feel so strongly about military families in our world. We need to give them the respect. Look at our world right now with ISIS. Those men and women who are putting their lives on the line, utmost respect. So I'm the oldest of four, as you'll find out in the book, and we lived a very Midwestern lifestyle. I was born in Texas, as I said, raised in South Bend, Indiana, near the Golden Dome of Notre Dame. One car in the family then. Dad would take it to work to his dental practice that he was trying to build on his own, and Mom was at home with the four kids. That's when we still did ironing. Do you remember that?
I do.
I mean, I haven't done that in a long time.
In front of the TV to that Dick Clark dance. You could dance and iron
Or
at the
soap
same
operas
time.
back in the day, soap operas.
Yes.
So my childhood was one of a lot of imagination because we didn't go places. We were there till I was about 12 years old or so. There was one car, and I also write about color TV. When color TV arrived, it was a celebration.
Right, it was a big deal.
Oh, it was a huge deal. I sound like I'm 150 years old.
No, we remember.
But I think, you get back to stories. It's all about stories. I don't think that we're taking enough time to have these types of conversations, to look into people's eyes and say, "Hi, how are you?" We're texting. This is my line. What up, smiley face? Hi, dude. What is that? I mean, I have seen people break up relationships over a text. What is that? We need to talk to each other. And history, we need to find out about each other's histories in our family because we can learn from everybody.
And I think writing is such a healing thing to do. Like if you're starting out, suddenly you lost a spouse, lost a child, or some horrible thing has happened to you, don't you think writing is a very good way of putting your soul down on paper, organizing it, and then you start finding out your children, grandchildren want to hear your stories. They want to know. Tell me a story when you were little. Don't, your grandchildren ask you that?
Absolutely.
Tell me a story when you were little.
Absolutely. And as the days are shorter and the nights are longer and we are in more, it's a great time to sit down and write your family story.
And don't wait.
Don't wait.
Because guess what? There's no guarantees. People disappear. They die.
Absolutely.
Oh, if I'd just gotten that recipe from Graham. Don't do that. Don't have regrets. And one of my messages is I'm going all over the state, which I'm loving on this book tour, and I'm getting invited into small businesses, which I love small businesses and libraries and bookstores, is just start writing. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry, because I think people get hung up on the grammar. Just start writing. Editors can take care of that. And last night I was talking at the Scranton Library in Madison, and they said, well, how did you write this? And I said, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to write about my childhood, what makes sense to me, what I think we need to bring back in the world. And I just named chapters, and I stuck them up on the wall, and then I would take down that piece of paper and I'd go, oh, okay, this is called The Diner. And I would just write about the diner. So it's not hard. And once you sit down, the hardest thing to do is to start. You know that. You know that. But once you start, it's your baby.
So how did you, because you said that it was actually harder than you thought to write your memoir.
Well, it's the isolation. You know, it's really sunny outside. I'd really like to go outside. Oh, I got a deadline. Yeah. And I read, as I was writing this, an author who said, writing a book is like pushing a boulder up a hill alone. I thought, oh, that's a terrible thing. But there are days when you think, I just don't want to do this, but I should do it. And once I sit down and write, you know what? Okay, that makes sense. The publisher, Leslie Browning, of Homebound Publications, was amazing through this project. Yay, Connecticut. Yeah. And she was a guide, and it helped me a lot because writing news copy is very different from sitting in a room and writing complete sentences.
Well, I like that you just talk about some everyday things, mason jars, what they make you think of. So a lot of people can just read those little things. Oh yeah, I remember Grandma used to make me pickled whatever in those mason jars. So what I liked about your memoir is that you weren't hung up on making sure you had one thread. Well, actually you do have a thread, and your thread is your fond memories and how they let you see and think about life. And advice that you want to give people. Like, I like that you went ahead and gave advice. Just, this is what I've learned.
That's my age thing. I feel like I know something now.
And so many people have advice, but they think nobody cares, nobody wants to hear it. But believe me, people do. If you've been through something or you relate to them through mason jars or diners, because you brought back all those memories of me sitting with my dad at a diner. So I just think people are going to read it and remember different things that they could start writing from just by going through your memoir. Oh yeah, I remember that. And those are ways to start writing your own.
These 22,000 words that I wrote, that sounds like a lot, was to kind of get people going in that direction, to remember when. It's not that I don't understand the now. Trust me, I'm all over social media. I get it. It's a way to connect. It's good and bad. I mean, I think we're all so connected and never more disconnected because of all of this. Your friends on Facebook aren't all your friends, but it is a way to build a community that is lovely. But this book was written to try to start to get people jump-started into remember when. That was good. And I feel very strongly about go back to the past to find your future. We're not studying history
Exactly.
enough.
It is your foundation that you're going to build on.
Correct.
So you be thankful for the good that was in your past. And the future is what you can build on that past. We don't want to live in the past. We want to recognize it, memorialize it, appreciate it. But now, that's our springboard.
Absolutely.
What can we do with that? Look at all that we've been given. What now? And I love your A to Z in your last chapter.
Thanks.
And what I want to do is take a letter a day for 26 days and focus on that one, like J, jump in. I love that one. If there's something available, don't wait, don't put it off, jump in, grab the opportunities that are available for you right now. And Q, quiet. That's the thing that people are scared of, but to take a day of quiet. Because that's when you can hear yourself think. You can hear whatever God or the universe is telling you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take one letter a day and focus on that.
You know, when I wrote the ABCs of living, that was really easy. It came just out of my head. That's also living for almost 6 decades, of things that I've seen. And I read those last night in Madison, and somebody said the same thing you did. And I believe in connecting and networking with people. And I go back to the state of Connecticut. I have been so blessed to be able to have a platform here. I have never taken that for granted, ever. I think we need to be on this planet to make a difference.
Absolutely.
What did you do at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
What's also interesting is we're taping this on December 19th. These are 26 days of kindness. That was set up from Sandy Hook. And what they say is remember each one of those 26 victims. Do something for somebody every day.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Every day anyway.
Absolutely.
Speaking of networking, you've got a network connections.
NetworkConnecticut.com.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm type A, I told you that, type A plus maybe. So I have 3 partners in NetworkConnecticut.com, and our mission is to network and connect people, innovators, entrepreneurs, small business, events that are going on. I feel like I have a duty to be a town crier for the state of Connecticut about good stuff that's going on.
There's
And
so much.
after the fall of our economy, people rolled up their shirt sleeves and they weren't making money, but they started to build this, or they built this, or they did this. So I wrote about them. It's difficult as our magazines go away and the newspapers are, where's the platform? So we're trying to build it. And I love it. I mean, I never met a brochure that I didn't love. Who, what, when, where, why? Oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? And then, as a reporter, find out about it and tell everybody.
Right.
That's my deal.
That's your
Now,
job.
did you say you have another show in addition to News Anchor?
Yes, I have a show called Nyberg, very much like this. So I interview innovators, entrepreneurs, all kinds of folks, where I extract their stories. How did you build it? How did you get that job? I'm very, very curious. And an excerpt goes on the air at 10 and 11 p.m., and then it lives online. It lives on WTNH.com, and it also lives...
It goes on the air what channel? Is this part of News Anchor? Is this something
so
different?
it's in the 10 o'clock show and the 11 o'clock show. So 10 o'clock's on
News
Channel
Anchor,
9,
okay. Oh.
wherever you guys are.
Okay.
And then the 11 o'clock is on the ABC affiliate. And so that's an excerpt, but it lives on NetworkConnecticut.com and it lives on WTNH.com. And then what I do is I share it all over social media so that the person making this widget or whatever it is, they get exposure all over the place because I'm a crazy person about, hey, I found out about this, I want to tell you about it. That's my thing. I'm crazy.
So where do you find these people?
Everywhere. And now they're coming to me. So it will be 4 years in June of 2016 that I've done this show. And I book them all, I meet them in the parking lot, I take them in, they've all got my cell phone, and we talk and connect. I had 2 photographers on last night who are a husband and wife team from Waterford, the Northrups. They're awesome, and they're live from their basement, a YouTube channel, and I just love what they're doing. They're making themselves experts on photography, and by the way, they are. It's about all of us connecting all of us together.
So where people contact you through your website?
Or through NetworkConnecticut.com, or they call me at the TV station, or through WTNH.com. Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing, that's very interesting. And how did you, what kind of memories, put it this way, I love when you're talking about your mother's proofreading it. Were you afraid to have your mother proofread your memoir?
So my mom, who is in her 80s, she was, and I write about this too, she had four children, so she studied to be a teacher, but she never became a teacher in a classroom. She student taught one time because she started having us. But she was always the teacher. So when I wrote the manuscript and I gave it to my mom, out came the number 2 pencil. Okay? And we sat in the back porch of our house in South Bend, Indiana. I'm telling you, this was a gift I never thought I would get. She went through the manuscript with her pencil. Yes, that's right. No, that's wrong. Let's, change this. And then she would stop and think about it, and think about making dandelion necklaces in the backyard. And we would talk about it as mother and daughter. Oh my gosh. I never knew I would give myself that gift by writing this manuscript. It was such a precious moment. So for 2 days we did this, and then other editors, looked at it. But Mom, and there's a picture of her. She didn't know I took this picture in the back of the book, just sitting there, with her glasses on, going through this. Oh wow, that was terrific.
This is why I really think everybody should be writing their story, because you're going to connect with somebody, or you might contact an old friend. Do you remember we did this and that when I wrote my children's novel, Ride a Horse on an Elevator? It's a girl I hadn't talked to in years, but she's the focus of my book, and she's the one who had these adventures with me, and then we just reconnected again. So telling your story must have reconnected you to people.
Amazingly so. And in fact, in one of the chapters, I want to find Jimmy Sullivan. He was my first boyfriend in kindergarten. He went to School 79 in Eagledale, Indiana. and I write about, wouldn't that be funny if he's out there,
Yeah.
Jimmy Sullivan, and I find him, and he gave me a little rhinestone blue poodle. And my husband kids me about this Jimmy Sullivan guy. Who's this guy? I don't know, but I'd love to find him. I mean, I met him when I was 5.
So actually, single people should all be writing their memoirs.
That's
right.
right.
If they're
You never
looking for
know
somebody,
who's going to turn up.
I mean, I believe people come in and out of your life for reasons, good and bad. What's the reason that they were in your life? We all learn from people that we meet, that we know, that we spend time with. And if you're open to the really big picture of that, you'll know why they came in and out of your life.
Yeah. You talk in your book about the importance of having positive companions, that who you choose to be your friends is really important.
I think sometimes people, maybe they don't mean to, but they can be toxic. We only have so much time on the planet, and I live my life with urgency because my sister had breast cancer, my first cousin breast cancer, and both of them went through double mastectomies. Both of them are my heroes. What they went through, they are doing very well right now. You're never the same after something like that happens to you. And both of these women emerged people that wanted to just help in any way possible, those coming after them.
And you're more willing to take risks, I think, because you know that life is short. And jump in, go for it. If you've experienced some loss or some challenges like that, I think it does make you more willing to take a risk.
Aren't you different after you lost your husband?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a much stronger, more open person, more willing to take a risk. I've got less to lose now. But to celebrate the first anniversary of his death, I went to Kathmandu and volunteered in an orphanage and found myself walking over a raging river on one of those little wooden bridges with the ropes, and some of the wood was gone. And you know what? I didn't care. I was fine. I was more of a risk taker then. And I had such a great time with the kids. Since then, we've taken custody of 8 kids who are visually impaired, and we support them financially from here.
A life changer. But
It is a life changer because you know what? For the first time in my life, I can do anything I want, frankly. I'm on a really long leash now. And that changes your options.
And have you surrounded yourself with other people now?
Absolutely positive people. Absolutely. I seek out positive people. It may be too fragile to handle somebody who's really a downer because I can't go there.
No,
So
we don't
I
have time.
I seek the people who feed my energy.
Now, I was interested, you talked about the toy closet. What sparked the toy closet?
So I've had this Toy Closet Program Foundation at Yale New Haven Hospital since 1993. And that sparked from being a reporter in Oklahoma City. And I did a story on a child who had to have a bone marrow aspiration. She had cancer. And after the bone marrow aspiration, they don't anesthetize. It's horrendous. They gave this child a key. And she held a key in her hand. And it had this worn red ribbon. And she knew after that was over that she was going to be able to go get a toy. So picture this. I'm a reporter. I didn't have children at the time. I'm in Oklahoma City at the Children's Hospital. And I see this child go to this closet. And she unlocks the door. And it was just a closet there, like an old linen closet maybe. She takes out a baby doll, a new baby doll, holds the baby doll. She's about 4 years old. Cradles it and said, "It's going to be okay." So she was transferring her pain. I was sobbing, just sobbing. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I ever get into a situation where I can make a difference for children, I'm going to do it. So when they were building the Children's Hospital at Yale New Haven, I said, I've got this idea. Let's do it. And they embraced it. We did it. Since 1993, we've given away more than 1 million toys.
Wow.
We've built a playground, rooms. It's gone, and it's all done by volunteers that make it work. The poorest of schools in New Haven have collected pennies, and firefighters have counted the pennies and given it. It's not political. It's all about kids.
Where can people donate to that?
So it's the Toy Closet Program at Yale New Haven Hospital, and the auxiliary takes care of it. and it has grown by leaps and bounds, and I'm so proud of it because of all the people that have given so many hours to make it grow.
We only have a couple minutes left, and you both have very big causes that you got involved with. You know, you now have launched a magazine, and you have retreats for the widowed.
For men and women,
Yes,
I love that.
absolutely.
Yeah, the men are just as wanting to connect and move on as well. With all the causes there are, because there's so many good causes, do you think it's better to just focus on one or two, or to try to do something for every cause? Because you must see a lot of causes, and you being a physical therapist, you see a lot of disabilities that could be prevented if you got involved with this or that. Can you possibly tell me in a minute how you decide which to get involved with?
Well, I choose those like I choose my fights. Which one could I influence by getting involved? If I think I can make a difference, then I make the time.
And how about you? Because you mentioned in your memoir, you know, do something. If you see a need, fill it.
If it's in front of me and it is something that I would do, I jump in and just get her done. I mean, I don't spread myself that thin, but I'm in a lot of different places. If I can do something quickly, make a difference, and then move on, I do. If it's in front of me and I can go for it, I do.
In the minute or so we have left, what do you want to say as a takeaway, you know, that you want us to know, your readers to know?
I want my readers to know that I'm just really, really normal. I want people to write their story, write it down before it's too late, and look around you and see where you can help along the way. That's it. And I'm a big-time storyteller, so if you tell me your story, I'm going to tell somebody else.
Yeah, because I like that, because I thought that was cute, that when you when I saw you at Bank Square Books, you signed autograph, tell your story or something. And I'm always telling my story. I tell my story too much, but I think I just thought that was great, because I could tell that is your heart. You wrote your story, you love other people's stories, and you see the value of people telling their story. And I believe the same way. I more believe it because I think it helps the writer, on top of connecting you with people, it also helps the writer to put it down.
And take the time, get off your phone, turn off the TV, read some stuff, and get deep into something. Don't just skim the surface, because if you read, the written word is everything to me. Obviously, I've done it since my mom gave me that diary when I was 8 years old and started writing. It means the world, so start writing.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so
coming
much,
here
Lisa.
to go out
Appreciate
into
it.
the show, and thank you, Joanne, for
Thank you,
coming.
my pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
We're all connected.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Lisa Saunders Show, and I will see you next week.